Hey everybody, welcome to Ice Cream You Meme. I'm Ben.
Hi, I'm
With me, as always,
JD.
we're doing some boba talk right now.
We're never gonna get. I think no matter what, we're never gonna get a good, like, not a good intro, but like an intro that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, generally the way it works is like we'll be talking and then we remember we have to record because we do this for a podcast and we're ostensibly creating content.
Right, the part of the friendship that we have to record at all times. Before I interrupted myself to tell you to record, Ben, what do you put on your mango Yakult?
For the Yakult so far, I've just done black or cold boba, just sticking basic. But do you have any recommendations for how to branch out?
Lychee jelly.
I do love a lychee jelly.
Lychee jelly with a mango Yakult. Our problem is like every time, because it's like the Yakult is a probiotic. They really only come like in this size. You're not supposed to like
body.
They have like the jumbo thing. You're not supposed to drink that much Yakult. So like my problem, like when I do drink the mango Yakult, I know I'm busted, right? Yeah. I might as well have like a pure milk boba situation.
Sure, yeah. It's a lot of dairy to consume.
It is. Yeah. So yeah, mango Yakult. Because like ours, which is the closest one to us, which is like the Safeway. I think you know what this place is. It's like a Toko tea thing. So we now have a closed one. And by default, it comes with coconut gel.
Oh, that's interesting. I like that.
Yeah. So I think we've tried it out with grass jelly before, and it was good. But it was the kiwi Yakult with grass jelly, so that turned out good. My brother liked that.
That sounds good. I'm down with that. I gotta diversify my topping game a little bit. Feel like sometimes maybe as like a white dude, I definitely have made some decisions that are like pretty fucked up. Where it's like, I don't know if bean goes in this. I don't know if this is the place for red bean. For years, I was always just like taro and black boba was like my classic, my go-to almost every time, or like lychee or passion fruit. Those are like my trifecta. Yeah, but the toppings I need to diversify.
It's good. I think my usual one, like I'm not gonna be like, Ben, oh my god, you're only been trying these, because like usually I'm like, what, Thai tea or the regular milk tea or brown sugar, and then like my brown sugar ones is like if I want to go ham on it, like I'll maybe go for like a Hokkaido one, which is like the burnt sugar, and then the Okinawa ones, but it's still like in the milk tea brown sugar range.
I like a Hokkaido. That's a good way to go. I feel like sometimes I don't like the milk teas if the flavor of the milk tea kind of overpowers the fruit. Like sometimes, so that's like why I'm kind of moving away from lychee as like a milk tea, because I feel like sometimes it gets lost, and then you're like drinking like a more like floral milk tea, which is not always what I want. You know,
I feel it. Yeah, it's just good. But okay, now that we've had that, what is your standard? Like if you don't know the place, the boba place, what is like your standard one that you're like, I trust this. I don't think they're ever gonna fail this order. What is it?
I think I've come to lychee is like, I never know if I'm saying that right. Is it lychee or lychee?
I don't know. I like there are some times where I say lychee jelly. Yeah. There are sometimes where I say lychee jelly. I have no idea.
Whatever it is, correct me and come at me on Instagram. Let me know. Or TikTok. We're more active on TikTok. Yeah, probably lychee, and then just like the black boba would be like, that's like just a baseline. Like, okay, this is figuring it out, because I always like the flavor of lychee.
It's so good.
It's like, to me, it's a little like, it tastes kind of plasticky. I don't know how to explain it, but it tastes like what I think like a toy would taste like. If that makes sense. I don't know if that does. But,
it makes sense, especially sometimes coupled with like the texture of it, because the lychee jelly that I have experienced most is like the long, thin ones, and they do kind of remind you of like, don't get me wrong, I do love lychee jelly, but like it's like I think this is what a plastic French fry toy might taste.
It's like the forbidden gummy worm. It's like
it truly is. Do you do like less ice, no sweet?
Less ice. Yeah, I go less ice, like 70% of both generally, because I'm not like a huge ice believer in general. Like you're just kind of eating up space in like a cup. So yeah, how about you?
For me, any boba place, if they fuck this up, I don't trust it. Yeah. So this is like my go-to order to both figure out if the place is good, but also because it's like the kind of like standard one, right? And it's a Thai tea.
Okay, yeah.
And if they fuck up, it's either Thai tea or a milk tea. But usually I'll go for a Thai tea, because this one, if they like fuck it up, it's like, I don't want to go here no more. There is a place near
here. It's a baseline. Like,
yeah,
if you can't do this.
It's like the baseline one. It's like the most basic, aside from like a like a milk tea, because there's this one near us in like American Canyon, whatever. And like for some reason, like the Thai tea is like gritty and you can, like, I like it when you can taste the tea in Thai tea. So I do go for like maybe like 50 to 75 sugar and then like 75 ice because I still kind of want the taste of like the black
the leaves,
tea. Yeah, kind of thing. But this one is like, it's gritty and there's dirt. It's like a feeling. So it's weird.
Yeah, there's a limit where you're like, I don't want too much of it. It's like, have you ever tried like mate from like the
little cups,
the traditional way of drinking it, where you have like the straw, where it's like filters? Like that's a little much for me in terms of like the grittiness factor. Where I'm just like, am I sipping hay right now? Like this is just...
Yeah. So if I ever have it, it has to be someone else doing it, because I know if I do it, I'm like straight drinking. Like I'm like, this is what horses like. I feel like a horse.
Yeah.
I just took, like, if someone else does it and makes a little setup for me, and I'm like, this is correct, so it tastes good. But I feel like if I did it, I'm like, might as well just go.
You don't trust yourself to do that.
Yeah, I don't trust myself. I trust other people making it, and that's when it's good.
I have a PSA to the white people boba drinkers. Do not get a durian drink. Don't do it.
Yeah.
JD. I got it, and it was huge, and I was like, oh, this looks... I've never had durian before, but it was before I knew what it was, and I was just like, why is it so cheesy? Why is it like sink flavor? What's going on here?
This is okay. Like, I know like durian, even for like Asian people, is like divisive. But I, as a casual durian eater who was just also eating durian as a dessert, like maybe like 4 days ago. Oh my God. Yeah. I feel it. I won't be like, Ben, canceled.
I will try it. I'll definitely, like, I've never had actual durian. That's been so far my only durian experience.
Okay. Then, so next time you are down here, we're getting you some good, real durian. Because that shit is like it's like, to me, I'm like, it's very good. To me, it's lovely. To me, she is beautiful. But I know some people are like, it's stinky. It kind of has like the texture of nastiness, and I'm like, it's okay. I'm pro foods with some stank. I'm not. That never has driven me off. I think it was just like I didn't know that it was a stinky food going into it that one time, and so that was like a surprise stank. When I come down and when you introduce me to her, what should I go in expecting? Like, texture. It's gonna be an interesting new texture, right? It's gonna be an interesting mouthfeel. The smell at first might get you going. I believe that you might taste the smell first.
Okay.
But then when you eat it, it has sort of like I don't know what it is compared to, but like it's like chunk, and then like all at once it also is like easy to split. Like it has like a fiber in that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But it is good. I have a tendency, fellow Asian people, if you don't do this, to have it with like condensed milk.
Oh, okay.
To give it a little bit of like the flavor kind of thing. So we will try it. You will try it bare, and then a little condensed milk, just to like, maybe if you didn't like that time around, just try it.
Okay. Yeah. I'm looking forward to this. Well, should we get into our topics?
Oh yeah. Today, this day, we're going easy breezy, beautiful cover girl.
Yes, we are. We're going above the clouds. Above the clouds. Where the sounds are original. Infinite skills create miracles. Warrior spiritual. Above the clouds. Raining down. Holding it down. Rest in peace, MC Guru. JD, so we're gonna open this up discussing what is a cloud. You know, is it a glimpse at another dimension, the dimension of heaven? Is it a manifestation of our human deepest desires? Most importantly, how do all those files fit in there? And where do they go when it rains? I don't know what JD wrote, so I won't speculate too much on the nature of clouds on the metaphysical level. Instead, let's discuss what clouds are on the physical plane of existence. Because, you see, when water on the Earth's surface is exposed to heat from, say, the sun, it turns into a vapor. And as that vapor rises, the temperatures around it become colder. And the colder temperatures cause the water vapor particles to join closer together. And then it phase shifts back into water, condensing around other particles that are also floating in the air. That could be dust, it could be salt, any kind of particles, dirt, whatever. And these dirty, wet little particles get together in the atmosphere and form big, filthy sky fuck parties that we know as clouds. So TLDR, clouds are water and particles that the water can adhere to, and it makes visible masses of water particles in the air. And sure, I know you were saying, I'm with you on the orgy metaphor, Ben. I hear what you're saying. But how come cloud look different if they're all made the same way?
This is a good question. How come cloud don't all look the same?
It really comes down to, where was the cloud made and the makeup of the cloud. Those are kind of like two easy ways to look at it, right? So the four basic categories of clouds are cirroform, which are the wispy, thin, and they're very high in the atmosphere. Cumuliform clouds are kind of your classic cloud, They have a lot of altitude range. They're extra thick, right? And then you've got your stratoforms, which appear like flat sheets and operate low to the ground. And then nimboform, which that just means rain. It's kind of a hybrid cloud form. When you see, generally speaking, it's with cumulo or strato clouds. So we're talking your cumulonimbus, which is like a big thunder cloud kind of look, or your stratonimbus, which is like a dark sheet of rain clouds. And then you can mix and match the categories with terms for altitude. So clouds that are formed high in the atmosphere are given the prefix cirro, which is Latin for like ice, So you could have a cirrocumulus cloud, meaning a high cumulus cloud. And since things are colder in the upper atmosphere, these clouds are generally formed of ice crystals, right? Clouds formed in the middle atmosphere are given the prefix alto, which confusingly translates to high in Latin. For example, you could have a altostratus cloud, and in the middle atmosphere, clouds can be either water, ice, kind of a mixture of both. And then clouds formed in the low atmosphere do not get a prefix. So if there's a low stratoform cloud, it's just called a stratus, right? And then rounding out the trio, low clouds tend to be mainly water particles, except for in situations where it's also cold on the ground. So that's an overview of clouds. How are you feeling about that?
I feel fantastic because I talked very little about how cloud make, and I love hearing the specific cloud that I'm madly into, which is the cumulus.
Cumulus clouds are dope. I watched like YouTube videos of like 15 craziest clouds, and they were pretty good. They were very entertaining. I would recommend people do that.
Yeah. I watched all my videos on the ISY Pod channel. So you may also see the clouds that I was staring at by way of the YouTube channel.
Yeah, we were just looking at clouds, baby. I should have used the ISYM YouTube channel because we'll get into it, but we'll discuss it. But so that's clouds, right? But as far as the internet is concerned, those natty clouds kind of are, for like Windows XP backgrounds.
Yes.
So we're going to be talking more about, cloud phenomena that the internet actually gives a shit about. And in my case, I'm talking about clouds that are on the ground. When we say clouds on the ground, what's your first thought?
Notoriously, clouds are not on the ground.
They're high up.
They're high up.
Maybe you're thinking, is that just fog?
Yeah, I'm thinking, it's just this really thick rolling fog.
Yeah, so that complicates things because fog is just clouds that are on the ground.
My God.
But we're not talking about fog. We're talking about videos and photos that seem to show compact, complete clouds floating around among us. So
among us?
So JD, I'm going to show you some key examples of what we're seeing around the world because we are having a cloud invasion right now. So we have a gentleman in the field. He's walking around.
This is not just like soap from an exploded laundry.
It's a cloud. It's that's being billed as a cloud. A cloud's floating on the ground. If we're operating in good faith, we're assuming that he doesn't know how this got here. He's lifting it up. He's touching it. What are we thinking? We thinking that's cloud? No cloud.
If we're operating in good faith,
yeah.
Wow, I love to see it.
It's cloud.
But okay. I'm having a very big disconnect here because I do love a cloud and I do love to see it on the ground.
Sure.
But this makes me. I see more of when people don't know how to do laundry or wash, use the washing machine, the dishwasher, and they put way too much stuff in there and it explodes throughout the house. And then I did watch a video of a guy on a the glidey thingy, and he was
paraglider.
Yeah. He's I'm gonna go catch a cloud. And he went up and tried to catch a cloud in like a big plastic bag, and he like brought it down to earth. And as he was like down to earth, like the cloud started like dissipating, but he still had the air of the cloud in the bag. And then he put it in a freezer, and he kind of got the cloud back, but it was just like vapor. So I'm thinking like, do you have some like special magic?
Yeah, that's a good question, because, you know, the way that you would expect clouds to behave, because they are water vapor, is not necessarily what we saw in that video, right?
And this one has like shape. This one has like a corner.
Got body, yada.
Yeah, body, yada. It has a corner in it, and that's like historically not.
It's a little strange. So here's video number 2. And then we have another seeming cloud rolling through a parking lot. I think that's a Panera in the back. Maybe it's not a Panera. I'm pretty sure this is in the Bay Area, though. I think I remember this being from like Fairfield, and then they're kind of floating around.
I was like, Fresno?
Oh my god!
It's from Sacramento, the Bay Area, as we all know.
Barely the Bay Area.
Yeah.
Oh my what?
Not me attacking the Bay Area. It's just like, this is not historically a cloud to me.
Behavior is not very cloud-like.
It's
is what we're
what
going.
Are those things that like in the desert they like roll on the ground,
like tumbleweeds?
Yeah, it's behaving very like tumbleweed. Like it's giving tumbleweed.
It's giving tumbleweed for sure. That's the thing, right? Those two are kind of like, I don't know that I would call that a cloud if I saw it. Like, I understand why you would, shape wise, you're like, it's cloudish.
Yeah.
But is it a cloud? I don't know. This one is slightly different. So this is, you may have seen this one before. It's been floating around since 2016.
I have not seen this, but I will say this is the most cloud-like of the ones that you've shown me.
It's cruising, so it's like a cloud in a parking lot, and it's literally floating through the parking lot.
It looks more believably cloudish,
right?
Right.
Yeah, encouraging each other to run up on it. But will they?
Oh my god, this one's more cloudish.
That's like it looks like a cloud, right?
Yeah. Is it rising?
It's rising.
It's
right?
rising. Okay.
It just came from my
this one, okay.
Yeah.
This one.
So that one, the most cloudish.
Yeah. More believing this one is a cloud. I do see it like rising towards the end. So this one is the one that's the most like, this is an errant cloud.
So it's like the cloud is formed, and then it's like, I must go, and it's like,
yeah,
ascending to
The first two are kind of like, the first one was very like laundry. The second one is like cotton on the ground. This one, the most believably cloud on the ground.
Yeah, I think so. And definitely, if it is real, I think it's for sure the most convincing. But I feel like there's a couple little credibility issues with the third one. First of all, if we kind of think back to episode 13, not that this is like a proof of anybody's malevolence, but using kind of low res footage is a great way to hide not the greatest effects.
Real.
And it doesn't, the quality is not great. It does nothing to help the stereotypes about Android users. It looks like shit, but it's also from 2016, so let's keep that in mind. It's a little older, right?
That is 7 years ago.
Yeah, and the camera work, he looks away from the cloud at points where it would interact with something, like when it kind of goes behind the car, the camera looks away. When it starts to ascend at the very end, it doesn't follow the cloud, it looks down.
What I will say is the third one, if it is fake, kudos to the people who are taking that video.
It's right.
Because camera work, fantastic.
Very naturalistic.
Naturalistic. As a person from the Bay Area, my first thought is also someone come hit it, right? Because it's a cloud. I don't I have no thoughts on it being like fighting back unless it's like, I have acid rain inside.
Yeah, swing on that cloud. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
And then also like, if it was like practical effects. I want to know, because that one is the most believable looking cloud.
It moves the most like a cloud.
Yeah.
That's definitely the thing that I like about it the most. Yeah.
Yeah, because the other two, I'm like, one, clump of soap. Second one kind of looks more like a fluffy thing. But this one is like great on practical effects if the third one is.
Yeah. So I think a reason to flag that it's probably not a cloud is that it is very static in the way it looks. Clouds are water vapor, right? So they are constantly changing. And the way this one moves. It's like the same shape throughout. There's parts of the video where it doesn't seem to cast a shadow. Mm-hmm. There's parts of it where I feel like you can kind of see a rendering line at the very top.
Yeah, there was a little bit where it started getting a little squarish. Mm-hmm, and I was going to say I literally was just going to say this is like the ghost of like the Mystery Machine. Because it was giving a little bit of Mystery Machine shape at like the middle of the video.
Yeah. It was like the hot boxed visible Mystery Machine.
Yeah.
That could be what we were saying. Yeah.
Shaggy's in there.
Shaggy's in there. There's some reason to be a little skeptical, but I can't say anything definitively. We'll consider it. We'll keep it open. We'll imagine. But for the first time in Ice Cream You Mean history, the other ones, the lame ones, are real. I'm going to say that those are real videos. Not in the sense that they are something actually being filmed. Mm-hmm. Not in the sense that they are clouds on the ground, because they're not clouds. As we discussed, clouds are water vapor. They're very nebulous, right? That's like a word from clouds for things that are hard to hold. They are not consistent. Yeah, and if you walk through fog, you've been through a cloud. Yeah, and it's not really a noteworthy experience.
Yeah.
There's a lot of empty space. There's nothing solid. But in the video one, we could see the cloud being pulled along the ground, right? And it was leaving like residue. It looked like soap suds. In video 2, we see it tumbling through a parking lot, which is also not what a cloud would do.
Yeah.
So I think we're dealing with foams here. So real quick, foams, not clouds, first and foremost. Foams are structures that are made by trapping air or other gases in a liquid or solid, most frequently a liquid. And foams require 3 factors to form. Firstly, mechanically, the surface area has to be increased. And this can be done by mixing something up or adding gases to a body of liquid. Secondly, there has got to be some form of surfactant. I'm going to say that word a lot. I'm not sure if I'm saying it right, which is a combination of the term surface active agent. And effectively, this lowers the surface tension of a liquid. And surfactants have hydrophobic tails and hydrophilic heads. So they form together into a sphere where the heads are kind of pointed out and the tails are pointed in. And it's called a micelle. And they're able to interact with both oils and water. And they can contain either within the surface or within the structure of the surfactant. Right, within the micelle. So a common example of a surfactant is sodium stearate, which is used in soaps to allow fats to be emulsified and washed away with water.
Okay, when you said micelle, I started thinking of like micellar water, like the makeup remover stuff. And it
emulsifies and gets stuff off.
Yeah. Yes.
So thirdly, the foam has to form faster than it breaks down. So this is where we get into, putting too much dishwashing detergent in your machine, too much laundry detergent.
Yeah.
Pulled off this miracle of chemistry, you made foam. So sure, you're saying, okay, foam exists, but are you saying that, somebody went Joker mode at the laundromat? To be fair, I can't definitively say how the foam in these videos came into being. But I can provide a PSA to our listeners. Do not touch mysterious foam.
True. Yeah. Do not.
Because, foams can be totally innocent. They can be, just like cleaning agents or whatever, like soap. It seems all good, right? And they can be perfectly natural. Sea foam, that forms as a result of decaying algae blooms off the coast. And as the decaying organic matter is pushed to the shore, the oils are released and mixed by waves, and it forms foam. I'm going to say that a lot too. I'm going to put that up pretty much every time. And a similar thing can happen in rivers, lakes, and freshwater bodies of water. As plant matter decays, the natural oils are released, and then they are stirred up by turbulence of the moving water or rain, right? So, perfectly innocent, right? There's also foams that, despite looking like clouds descended straight from heaven, that are literally full of shit. It's a global phenomenon where untreated sewage and industrial waste are introduced to a body of water. And this runoff contains phosphates from human waste and artificial surfactants from detergents and industrial processes. And, as we know, that in itself is not enough to form a foam. It requires some agitation. And so that agitation can come from moving water, right? This type of agitation doesn't always lead to the crazy clouds that you'll see online. It can when the conditions are right and when the topography of the river is right. So, for instance, this happened in Colombia on the outskirts of Bogota in the town of Mosquera in 2022, where the rainy season increased river flows and agitated settled surfactants and increased the turbulence of the river throughout the town. And this resulted in piles of foam 15 feet, 5 meters for our non-American listeners, high that flowed from the river into the city. The mayor did a real Jaws move and claimed that there was a study that proved that the foam was not harmful to people. But many people reported that it smelled like literal shit.
Oh.
It's not limited to running water. In lakes with wastewater, foam formation can become a seasonal disaster as the surfactants have a chance to settle on the lake bed and are stirred up during the rainy seasons, right? And this happens pretty much every year in Bellandur Lake in Bangalore, India, where there's a high concentration of industrial waste in the lake water. And that also causes the lake to catch fire.
Okay.
It has caught fire in 2015, 2 times in 2017, and then in 2018. And that time the lake burned for 30 hours. And then it happened again in 2021. And it doesn't, obviously it doesn't always require human waste. In the US, it's more common for like herbicides that contain surfactants that allow them to better spread onto leaves to leach into groundwater. And these herbicides, in addition to the, other phosphates added in fertilizers, can do what surfactants do when water gets agitated and also form cloud-like structures of foam. So JD, I have a quick slideshow to show you to illustrate how these foam incidents look, because they are kind of cool. I mean, aside from what they are. These first 2 photos we have here. So this looks kind of similar, I would say, to what we see in the other videos,
yes.
right? It's just foam on the ground. There's a woman riding a bicycle or a person riding a bicycle. And there's these big piles of foam. And then we have another one of a person walking, and there is a foam pile behind them that is taller than them.
Oh my god!
And this is the Mosquera one from the outskirts of Bogota, and it's just untreated sewage. There's all byproducts of living that gets stirred up by the rainy season. And then the next couple are from India, and these ones are especially cloud-like, I think.
Yeah, they are.
This is from Bellandur Lake. And then this last one is like a storm of foam that is industrial waste and human waste and, detergents and just all stirred up and mixed up and floating through the streets. And these are, pretty regular occurrences.
Oh my god.
Yeah. So foam happens, basically. Back to the PSA. If you do not make the foam yourself, do not touch it. Even if it smells like fresh human shit, don't touch the foam.
Don't.
But, I'm no scientist. This is not a science podcast. So what do we, the people, think when we see stuff about clouds on the streets? The consensus is that it is weather control. That seems to be a common theme in the comments. And so we have to talk a little bit about where this idea comes from.
Awesome.
And in the conspiracy space, it starts with all good things, with the publicly available U.S. government published documents. Wow. And in this case, it's a report called Weather as a Force Multiplier, Owning the Weather in 2025. And I'm not going to waste any time pretending that this is a really scary document. It's not a declassified or leaked report from the dark halls of the Pentagon. It's part of an Air Force 1995 study called Air Force 2025, which aimed to imagine the capabilities and threats against the Air Force in the next 30 years. Right? It's basically sci-fi for Air Force officers. There's wild reports in there. There's stuff about robotic insects. There's space warfare. There's death beams that can shoot planes out of the sky. But weather as a force multiplier gets a lot of attention from conspiracy theory spaces who view it not as an act of speculation, but as an act of confession.
Wow.
Beyond this act of confession, a primary source of evidence that the government is controlling the weather are chemtrails, which are variously viewed as a method of eugenic control, it's mind control, or sometimes people are just like, it's just they're geoengineering us. So we don't have like a whole lot of time to get real into chemtrails, but here's some quick points. Firstly, yes, you do see things coming from the back of airplanes.
Yeah.
We call those contrails. That's the generally accepted scientific term. And they're basically artificially created clouds. That is true. They are not, they wouldn't be there if planes were not there. Jet engine exhaust is mainly water vapor, but it includes small particles from engine operation that can include, things from burning kerosene, which is, jet fuel, bits of the engine itself as that kind of flows, things fly out as well. And then the water vapor can cling on to those particles. Yeah. So it's the basic process that all clouds come from. Contrails are generally formed high in the atmosphere, so they're kind of structurally similar to cirrus clouds, and many believers claim that they never used to see chemtrails, right? That's like a real recurring thing. It's like, I didn't see these when I was young, but now I see them all the time. And there's a little bit of, I think, confirmation bias.
Yeah.
maybe you didn't used to pay attention to them, and now you're noticing them.
Yeah.
But it's not a new thing. They were first observed in 1919, so we have over 100 years of seeing contrails, and they've been studied since World War II because it's bad if you're, a military air force to have a line behind your plane.
Yeah.
Like a concern. And there is some emerging evidence now that contrails do contribute to climate change, but that's because they are clouds. And cloud cover has the effect of preventing solar heat from reaching the Earth, but it can also trap that heat as it radiates back out through the atmosphere, right? So contrails can have an impact on climate change by trapping additional heat within the atmosphere. And particularly if flights are happening at night, it just kind of traps the heat in.
Yes.
So another point that chemtrail believers make is that not every plane has a contrail. And the reason that not every plane has a contrail has to do with physics type shit. We're talking temperature, the ambient humidity that the plane is in, and the altitude the plane is flying at. So it's not something that's controlled by pilots. There's not like a switch. Sometimes you'll see photos of a switch.
Yeah.
It's just down to flight conditions. Contrails and the conditions that create them are pretty well studied. And as we get to understand the impact they have on climate change, there's more pressure on airlines to factor this into flight planning. And I mean, we should all know not to have much faith in airlines, even though there are steps being taken to model conditions where contrails are created, with the idea being that it could be used to present to the FAA to change flight regulations, right? To avoid their creation. So chemtrail people, we may see less contrails in the future, and that will be a good thing because they have a negative impact on the climate change.
You hear that, Taylor Swift?
Get
off your private jet, girlie.
Yeah, but it's not chemicals being dropped on us. There's no evidence that we're being crop dusted by mind control juice. It's just what happens. It's a byproduct of capitalism. And I think, on this light note of climate change, I'd like to, where we're going to go to close out the discussion. I watched several conspiracy videos on weather control, and in one, which was a 15-minute of baking theories from Weather as a Force Multiplier, the creator said this: when we look at anything that's strange or unusual that we've never seen before, record this, record that, we have to take this into account. And so, all those people that have said, well, it's just an act of God, God is mad at us because we're not obeying him. Well, yeah, we're being played is the bottom line, totally. End quote. So the video was blaming the drought in the western United States and the increase in storms throughout the U.S. on weather control by the government. And I think that this illustrates a common thread among conspiracy theories and, what their main appeal is. The idea that somebody, even a level in government, is competent and in control. It's more comforting to believe that everything is happening for a reason. And as we face things that we've never faced before, like climate change, it would be nice to believe that there is a single party that is controlling it. This implies that there is also a singular solution to ending the crisis we face, that there is something behind it, driving it, that it's not the faceless and chaotic powers of human greed and indifference, and it is not a byproduct of a flawed, complex system. This is the cold comfort you can gain from a conspiracy theory. Humans are fucking the planet. That's not up for debate. And I completely understand the urge to seek a narrative that is reassuring, that tells us that even though the world is dark, it's dark for a simple reason, a pure evil that exists in the world. And unfortunately, in the real world, we do not get a simple solution. Aside from finding the addresses of
censorship.
Yep. So that's what we got on clouds. Clouds on the ground, probably just foam.
Clouds on the ground. Do not touch them.
Do not touch them.
Do not.
I know that it goes against everything you think when you see a cloud. You always want to touch a cloud. A, touching real cloud, disappointing. B, touching a foam, potentially hazardous to your health.
Yeah, don't do it. To the people in that third video who were going to approach it and attempt to square up with it, hopefully they didn't touch it, because if it was sewage, nasty shit.
Nasty
it
shit.
Would have been real funky.
Yeah, in the first video, the guy he's getting in on it.
Ugh.
And I think, to me, I'm like, I hope that you made that. I hope that is...
Yeah.
Yeah.
For your sake, I hope it's fake. Okay. Yeah. So this felt like we were back in school, you and I, and we were given a topic to write on. Right? Because it's like, oh my God, thank you for covering that. Because I I was like kind of relying on you doing this because I knew you were going first, and I was like, okay, he's gonna explain class, he's gonna explain this, so cool.
Yeah.
So that's
back to third grade earth science.
Yeah, let's go. Yeah. But yeah, so it makes sense as like a general thing of like, because you touch on like confirmation bias, so I'm not going to talk about it now. I'm going to talk about it later when I go over it. But it's like, yeah, like the idea of this is like a new thing that we've never seen before, so it might be crazy, as opposed to like, well, you hadn't seen it before, you hadn't known about it yet, so it might just have been like a different phenomenon to you. And the whole like,
right,
because it's like so hard to like find blame for like a thing, so we must create a thing to like put the blame on, so it's like a little easier. Sometimes I think in the line of like conspiracy theories of this nature, it's like people are like, who don't believe in the conspiracy theories, sometimes try to find reason and as to like why someone would believe that, and usually it's because like that person might be the funky stuff of the world. And seeing it as like that whole like, maybe this person is trying to find an explanation for certain things, and that this is probably the easiest or the best thing that they can hang on to that has like a goal of like a viable end goal to them.
Right. And I think the idea of like control is also especially appealing, that it's like, well, someone knows what they're doing. Someone's in control. Because like, if you like the hurricane where it kind of like slowed down over Florida is like a common thing where people are like, well, that proves the government is using weather control. And it's like, that's more comforting than like, no, we've just fucked up the jet stream so much from like, so there's, you know, different masses of air. There's cold masses in the Arctic. There's warm masses in the tropics. And when those meet, and as if the differences change, as the Arctic heats up, it's heating up faster, we get more radical paths of the jet stream. So it's behaving in ways that we've never seen before, because it's on, it's a roller coaster that's like reaching the peak and then it's going to drop because we're in uncharted territory. Like,
it's a lot more, I mean, like comforting to be like, this is someone doing something, as opposed to like, we completely absolutely fuck shit up and we don't know how to solve it.
Yeah. And it's also like, I didn't know that was why, until I started doing the research, I didn't know that was why the hurricane stopped over, or like slowed down so much. I didn't really understand the jet stream other than something that like I hear about. We're not like really thinking about things in this kind of like weather system world. We're not used to it. So it's easier to be like, well, in the world of humanity, yes, obviously there must be somebody behind this and there must be reasoning. And there's not, unfortunately. We're in a very complex situation where it's like things are changing and they're going to change in ways that we can't always predict. Sometimes we can kind of guess, but nobody's driving the bus.
Yeah, who's driving this bus? Nobody.
The bus is just going, baby.
Someone driving this bus doesn't have a license.
There's no auto to save us.
Yeah.
From what Simpsons had,
It's just, it's buck wild out there. And now that we're talking about people controlling clouds, let's talk about people controlling clouds.
Let's give us some hope for how we can make the change, how we can control the clouds.
Everybody buckle up your seatbelts, because if busting makes you feel good, what I'm covering today will make you feel real good, right? Today, I'm covering cloud busting to continue our Airhead episode. And no, lads, I'm not continuing my last talk from last episode and working on cloud computing. I'm tired of thinking. We're not thinking here. It's time to just go absolutely buck wild and vibe. So, what is cloud busting? You're saying?
What is it?
Thank you for being the audience standard. According to Tumblr user Wolf of Antimony Occultism, cloud busting is the act of looking at a cloud with the intent to manipulate it to disappear. Okay?
Cool. All right.
This helps with focus, charging your chi, energy practice, and a whole bunch of other stuff within the psychic energy space. Ben has talked about chemtrails, and this cloud busting is one of the ways that people with the ability to cloud bust aim to help the world, because they're like, if I can cloud bust, I can help get rid of chemtrails.
We can take back our power.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
According to a practitioner on YouTube in the comments of a video, once enough of us get the hang of atmokinesis, which is like the psychokinesis.
The technical term.
The technical term for cloud busting.
Yeah.
Once enough of us get the hang of atmokinesis, we can literally create and control ideal weather patterns globally and redirect any unwanted storms such as hurricanes, tornadoes, and tsunamis. So if you're wanting
the potential's there, yeah.
Yeah, if you're wanting to actually control, forget about the government. Get in touch with yourself, okay? So
we have the power.
You have the power inside of you. Okay, so basically it's this whole thing is just like when you look at a cloud and try to make it go away. So like that little childhood like nursery rhyme of like rain, rain, go away. Yeah. This is it, right? Okay. Yeah. So if I was filled with facts and computation power in the last episode, you'll be glad to hear that I am not this time around. I am coming to you bare and bizarre. I wasn't able to specifically determine the history of cloud bursting as a psychic technique. However, there is evidence of it seemingly in the late 1940s with a Mr. Oscar Drummond of Reading from the Journal of American Society for Psychical Research. Ben, we should get in on that.
We got to get on that, yeah.
Mr. Drummond's act of literally bringing the song Rain, Rain, Go Away to life, just so he and his besties could have a sunny day out, was documented in this wonderful journal article that I have linked in the script and you should read because you want to read something from the 1950s on psychic research, right? I suspect that this is not just something that came out of the 40s or like whatever time that the movie The Men Who Stare at Goats was set at, but and that it might go way back because it's like magic and like psychical stuff, right? And that's long, right?
The ancient technique.
Yeah. So I love my research back in like AI low. I am empty up here, but to give you some of that historical flavor that you so desire, I'm going to go through the October 1957 edition of the Journal of American Society for Psychical Research, and go through Denny's Parsons examination. And I can't find much on Denny's Parsons, whether this be because it was like the 1950s and not everyone is putting themselves up on Wikipedia back that time, or
because it was writing for a psychic periodical.
It's either that or because I'm using Ecosia, which doesn't have every single Google result possible. But yeah, very quickly, for our purposes, Parsons was an author and a psychic researcher. He was also the sort of inventor or developer of the Parsons Code, which helps to sort of like bring music to its most basic and then like help it identify from there. So like Twinkle, Twinkle Little Star is like da 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 da, that kind of thing.
Wow.
Parsons has a French Wikipedia page, but not an English one. So that is nice.
Thinking France.
Yeah. Thinking France. He was part of the American Society for Psychical Research, which was founded in 1885, and it aimed to explain psychic and paranormal phenomena through scientific method. Ben, we should be applying for a new society. They have looked at paranormal phenomenon such as spirit photos, drawings, healings, and something that is our friend today, ESP, which is a group of abilities including telepathy, mind reading, psychokinesis, moving objects without physical contact, and precognition, predicting the future. In an article about cloud bursting, Parsons writes about Dr. Rolf Alexander, which to you and I is an important figure in the cloud bursting and busting space. He is also a Kiwi. Let me summarize this whole thing to you really quickly because it's kind of like full of drama. It's like tea. So, fan fiction writers, listen up. I'm giving you your new pairing, okay? Denny's Parsons was sent a letter from Dr. Rolf Alexander. Basically, Dr. Alexander was saying, hey, let me show you how I can bust this cloud. Parsons was piqued and decided that this was easy enough to prove or disprove. He did some initial investigations himself and attempted the process of busting up clouds, but he was unable to reproduce the reported result of the cloud going away. He then meets up with Dr. Alexander so that the doctor can demonstrate for him, and blah, nothing happens. And he points us out to Dr. Alexander, who gets into a bit of a tizzy. He's like, what do you mean? Right? Parsons reaches out to Dr. Alexander's supposed like government contacts and other interested parties. And in his research, he finds out that like what happened was Dr. Alexander just actually spoke to people who worked at these places, and the people were basically like, oh, that's interesting. So
I thought we had a hero.
So it wasn't that like governments were interested in the method of cloud busting. It's just that he spoke to someone who worked at like the FBI, and the person just went, oh, that was interesting. So that was your government interest.
Cool, man. Yeah,
right. They were like, okay. So that's basically not like, yeah, the government said it was interesting. No, some guy who worked at the FBI said it was interesting. Right. So Parsons then finds out that Dr. A is going to hold a demonstration for a major magazine called Illustrated at the time. And he's like, called up the magazine. Oh, wait, no. He calls up Dr. A first, or writes him a letter. He's like, hey, you have to bring some science guys with you because this will help with credibility. Because the whole shtick is kind of a joke right now, right? And he suggests that like the Psychical Research Society could look into it for Dr. A because this will be like, hey, we have some scientists look at it. And Dr. A, obviously still hurt from Parsons' previous words, was like, your society is a fucking joke and proves no use to me, bitch. So he was like, fuck you, fuck off. I don't need science.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm busting clouds, baby.
Busting clouds. So this is not science. This is your body, right? Parsons then gets in touch with a friend at the magazine, which I think it was a photographer, and suggests that the friend try and get like some science folks around, like more than just a GP. So like a general practitioner doctor.
Sure.
So like a doctor's here, but it's like the doctor for your body, right? And basically it's like, you can't just have a doctor and some guys who've just fully bought into the practice, right? That's like not enough, right?
Right.
They managed to get a meteorologist to come along, and this meteorologist basically debunks the whole bit. And the magazine just doesn't pull through with a piece because they're like, that sucks, right? Parsons then commits some more comedy by even debunking Dr. Alexander's doctoral credits and suggests that the guy probably doesn't even have a degree. He doesn't have a doctorate of science.
Dr. Alex.
Yeah. And that the guy might just know his clouds really well and uses that to his advantage, right? One of the best lines from this whole article is that this fact demonstrates that he has not a realistic idea of other people's intelligence. So he's basically like, bro was silly. He thought people were stupid.
Right, yeah.
Right? So cloud bursting and busting goes way back. But now that we know some of its backgrounds, right, let's talk about it. How do you do it?
Yeah,
right?
please.
Okay, so Ben, I know you've been really in depth with this cloud shit, right? We end up with this cloud shit.
We in the clouds, baby.
But have you tried cloud busting yourself? Like maybe as a kid, you were like, I was making shapes in the sky as a cloud. I made a dog in the sky. Have you been? This is like not even as like, oh yeah, I was cloud busting as a kid, but like, have you looked at the sky as a kid? And like, oh my god, I made a little dog. I made the sky go away.
I guess my environment or my relationship with clouds has always been more passive. Like I've definitely looked at the clouds and like, wow, look at that. Oh, it looks like a little doggy. I believe that part, yeah. But I don't think that I ever was able to ascribe any credit. I don't, I in my head it was never like I did that. I never spoke to Mufasa. Or whatever. Yeah.
Like that's him. Okay. I think that's also my relationship with clouds is that like just kind of looking at them and like, whoa, they're cute, right? Giant little cloud in the sky. But yeah. Okay. So the internet going as far back as the internet going as far back as the early 2000s all the way up to now, according to our friends at TikTok, is not specifically able to give you like the easy like 1, 2, 3 lowdown on how to cloud burst. And there seems to be like a whole range of how to do it. So we're going to go through them, right? So here's a quote from R. Burgess from one of our YouTube videos that I watched just to show you how contentious it is to even educate people on how to bust a cloud. Okay.
Right.
R. Burgess says this. I teach 6 and 7-year-olds to do it, and not one of them has failed on his or her first attempt. Humans radiate longitudinal electromagnetic energy, LME, from their eyes and the crown of their heads, and maybe their pineal glands, but I'm not sure of that. Sure. Most of our energy radiates centered on our hearts in the shape of a toroid and can extend as far as 20 feet in all around us in that donut shape.
Okay.
Take a slow moving cloud and stare at it, tilting your head down a bit, and both think and say, evaporated, disappeared, evaporated, done. Repeating these words and thoughts over and over as if it has already disappeared.
Okay.
So
it's, the position is like
Kubrick stare. Kubrick stare at the clouds.
Kubrick stare at the clouds.
Evaporated.
And act like it's already over. Evaporated.
You're done.
Dissipated. You're done. You're done, kid. You'll never work in this town again.
Goodbye. Rain, go away, but dark. Kubrick stare edition, right? So now if Burgess is referring to electromagnetic fields, which we're familiar to via paranormal shows.
Oh, yeah.
To prove that ghosts.
Very sciencey.
Right? It proves that ghosts and electricity exists.
Yes.
Basti is right. But this is just one of the comments illustrating how to cloud bust, right?
Mm.
So from the methods and comments that I've read on videos of people doing cloud busting, it seems like there's a huge variation on how to actually do it. We're going to go through some of them, working through easy to hard as shit, in my humble onion, right? As we go through this, remember your knowledge on clouds, right?
Mm.
Internalize it. Keep it in here, where you have 20 feet of donut shape around, right? Keep track of some of those commonalities shared across the methods and put your thinking hat on, right? We're going to look at those commonalities later in the breakdown of how cloud busting works from a different perspective. So we're going to go through easy. Below are the easiest ways, according to folks in the comments across many videos, on how to cloud burst, or just like in the videos of like, this is me cloud busting. People are in the comments. From Cheap Power, this is how they do it. Think as though you are a cloud.
Okay.
This takes about 5 minutes. Okay, that's one. From Ulex,
that's a while.
From Ulex Vamps Nation, they say, just focus on the cloud and command it to dissipate. Very simple.
Yeah.
Then we have another one that says, I've done this before by chanting a prayer. Haven't tried without words yet. So it's like from those 3 ones, it's just like easy. All you have to do is think that a cloud is going to disappear. Right? The basic idea of this easy method is that cloud will go away. There's no requirement other than belief and action or thought into the process. A lot of the folks who said they were doing it as a kid simply talked about how like they didn't even think about it. They were just waving their hands or like imagining it, right?
Right, just static. Yeah.
Right. So like the easiness of like a kid, or like just the easy thought of it is like could be taken into the idea that like kids are sort of more in touch with the paranormal and any sort of ESP because they haven't been so exposed to the stuff that we have as adults, where like many of us have probably gone through the whole shtick of like this is woo-woo stuff. Or
we've been vaccinated.
Yeah, we've been vaccinated, so we don't have the powers anymore. Or we weren't allowed to even think of magic and paranormal because like due to like religious beliefs or like cultural practices. It's like the idea that like ghosts and magic-y stuff love children because they're new to it and won't deny the existence of it just yet. Right? Kids and dogs and cats can see ghosts. I don't know about lizards. I don't know about your pet fish. Beta fish, maybe.
You think betas are?
Maybe betas can see.
Betas seeing it?
Yeah.
Lizards, I don't know if the lizards are seeing it. I'm with you on that.
Lizard, I think they're just kind of vibing.
Yeah, there's not a whole lot going on behind a lizard's eyes.
What is an animal aside from a dog or cat that you think can see ghosts?
Horses.
Horses. Yes, I do believe
maybe
a horse.
Yeah, a horse can see ghosts.
Do you ever notice that like when you watch like My Pet, like Haunted Pets or like those shows, it's like dogs, cats, and horses. It's a lot of horses.
I think it's because like horses have like a spooky energy to them. I'm not like a horse person. I don't trust them. But definitely like the eyes of a horse, when you look at them, you're like, oh, you've seen some shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then goats, probably goats.
I was going to say goats.
Yeah.
Because they're like...
Yeah, the Black Phillip energy. There's like the long paranormal occult relationship there too.
What's that one like? Do you desire to live deliciously or something like that?
Yeah, from the witch.
Yeah,
the
witch, right? But yeah, so now that we've gone through the easy stuff, let's go through the medium difficulty methods that require a little more than faith, trust, and pixie dust for all you Disney adults out there. Number 1, I started doing it with my fingers and Clive that. I don't know what Clive. Now I can talk to the cloud, but the finger always works the best. So this one has a little bit more of your body in it, right? You're not just
there's some physicality there.
You're going like this.
Is that the motion?
Yeah.
So the flick? Okay.
It's like you're zooming into the...
Oh, okay. I see. So you're zooming in and then you're making the particles of the cloud move apart from each other.
You're like...
By doing that.
Rain, go away, but like literally, right? Okay.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah.
The clearest medium difficulty explanation is from the Muhammad family in 2017 in their video Cloud Bursting, Making Clouds Disappear with Our Mind, 5 Easy Steps. And it is 5 steps. In the description box, they list out... In the doobly-doo, they list out the following steps. Number 1, sit outdoors in a shaded area and try to be as comfortable as possible.
Look out for your skin.
Right. Remember SPF, right? Always have sunscreen. Number 2, listen to this. Choose a puffy cloud that doesn't look heavy or gray. You can try these types of clouds at a later stage in your personal practice. Now, this is me. Put a pin on this type of cloud, right? Then they continue with avoid staring directly at the sun. Don't stare at the sun. This will damage your eyes, right? Yeah. Number 3, focus on the cloud that you've chosen. Now, using your mind, will it to dissolve. Number 4, visualize the cloud breaking up into smaller and smaller fragments in your mind. See it scattering. Number 5, in a few minutes, you should see it start to disappear. This one is a bit more mid-level because it does require training and focus and has mentions of your psychic energy, but it's still pretty straightforward.
Sure.
The next one is still pretty medium level, but now requires more brain power, specifically your amygdala. So get that shit right. Know where know where your pineal gland and your amygdala is first.
Yeah.
Right? Number 1, sit or stand. I don't know how you can sit and stand. You figure that out on your own. In an open area where you can see a good amount of open sky.
Okay.
Number 2, this is why it's important to know where your amygdala is. Click your amygdala forward.
Yeah.
I don't know what that means. Okay. And make sure.
Can you control the motion of your brain?
Well, I don't know. Okay. Now that you've clicked your amygdala forward, make sure you are in a positive and open state of mind.
Okay.
This is important.
My bad.
This is important, Ben.
Yeah.
If your amygdala is clicked backwards and in a negative and or closed state of awareness, forget it. This won't work. Breathe slowly and deeply, but totally relaxed and naturally. So slowly and deeply, but relaxed and naturally. I don't know how to do that. 1, I have asthma. 2, I'm a bit of a heavy breather.
Same. Yeah.
Okay. Number 3, think about clouds again. Pick on a specific separate cloud. Ideally, pick one that has other clouds next to it or surrounding it so you can compare your efforts.
Okay.
A small cloud to start with. Something about the size of your outstretched hand or smaller. Pick a cloud directly above you or nearly to start so you know it's nearby. Number 4, visualize energy flowing from your frontal lobes out towards the cloud and visualize it vaporizing and disappearing from the sky. Number 5, this one just a little confusing to me. Remain unattached to results and efforts, as if you don't really care whether or not this works.
You don't want it too bad. This class can sense that. Like, can sense desperation.
You have to play hard to get, okay?
Yeah.
Relax. Let the energy flow and wait. If you strain, grit your teeth, tense your muscles, or mentally make effort, it just interferes with the process. You've been doing it too hard.
Yeah.
Remember, you click your amygdala forward with a feather, not a hammer. This is really easy to do.
Okay.
Easier than walking up a flight of steps. Click your amygdala forward.
Click your amygdala forward with a feather, not a hammer. Well, the hammer is like how you lobotomize yourself.
Yeah, so that's a lobotomy. Okay, yeah, that's a lobotomy, okay? Number 6, a cloud about the size of your outstretched closed hand, right?
Okay.
Will take form from 4 to 8 minutes.
Oh, wow. Okay.
To completely disappear. Your chosen cloud will vaporize, and surrounding clouds, no matter how close they are, will remain completely unaffected. So this is only going to work on your chosen cloud. Don't even
your
think
cloud.
About the clouds,
yeah.
Okay?
Right.
If those clouds disappeared, that wasn't you. That was probably someone else. Now, we're going on hard level. We're on God level mode, okay?
Yeah.
Christian of Reality Files goes through a really pretty in-depth way of getting into cloud busting. His steps require inner self-work, chi charging, and making sure, most importantly, that your vibes are good. This is the video that I got most of, like, the whole, like, man, this is actually so simple. You're overcomplicating it, right? Most of the people in the comments are like, it's not that hard. Like, what are you talking about?
It's not that deep, bro.
It's not that deep.
Just cloud busting.
Right? So, his steps feature meditation, updating your diet, energy flowing, higher vibrations, and a whole bunch of really, like, making your psychokinesis better by making the self, right? So you need to also be able to move your energy through your body in a positive and fruitful way. There's talk about the way you connect to all the life around you and the energy that exists in the world. You got to stop separating yourself from the world around. There's no tree, there's no bush, there's no me and them. It's us.
It's all us, baby.
Right?
Yeah.
So how's your vibe? Because that matters too, right? You got to be in the correct state of mind and to be vibing, right? In order to make this happen. You basically have to do some body charging in order to fully get in the correct zone to do this. In the video itself, Christian does, like, have moments where he's like, oh, that didn't work out too good. That must mean, like, I'm not connected with the energy around me well enough to, like, charge my chi right, or I was distracted by the camera, right? Showing that even those who seem to know how to do it right won't always get the results.
It's not going to be perfect every time. Yeah. No.
Right? And there's a potential reasoning here for like people who do this practice and subscribe to his specific method, because they might use that as like an excuse to why it didn't work that time when you're showing it to a friend. He might go like, my vibe wasn't right this time. Right? And for those at home, then as well, I encourage you to choose one of these methods and give it a try. If it works out for you, or better yet, if this is something you have done before, go ahead and send us an email at icecreamyme@gmail.com. Now, you probably got back to this episode and you're meant to send me a really bad email because you're like, JD, that shit did not work. Here is why you can't do it. Okay? Here's a quote from YouTube comments. The only reason why most people can't do is because they are on their computer and just play games where you can't imagine anything.
Right.
And because they can't imagine, they can't believe. If you believe, possible is possible. So Ben, if you and I can't do it, it's because we are on the internet right now.
We've been doing video games too. So like, it's not looking good for us.
I can't even. You just sent me a video game to play in the Discord, so you're like making it even harder for me to try this.
Yeah, no. Twitch.com/ISYMpod.
Look at all that evidence as to why we can't bust up clouds.
Yeah.
Damn.
The imagination.
We already started at like a level -25.
Yeah, our pineal glands are like fully calcified.
My amygdala has been smashed with a hammer. I've been lobotomized. My God. Look at this. Video game does harm you. Lobotomy style, right? Perhaps, just like how I mentioned in the hard level of this method, you're not charging yourself enough to be able to fully connect to the world around you. Maybe for the easy stuff, you're not putting yourself in the correct headspace and targeting the correct cloud. Maybe you're just not chanting to yourself. Maybe you're distracted, right? Maybe though, realistically, maybe your cloud is just on a different level of wind than you are, right? Maybe try another method level and give that a go. And again, once you've done it, reach out to us with a video and let us know how it went, because Pixar did it. Just kidding. Interview attempts. Now, I have reached out to some of the people who have been busting up God's cotton candy, and I did try to be like, hey, what's up? I'd have done TikTok too, but like TikTok, I think I value my mind. I value our audience on TikTok. I'm not about to do that to them. But yeah, hopefully one of these days someone will reply to me and I'll get to add something in the essay. But for now, the folks that I reached out to have remained unresponsive. But the following are some of the questions that I am inviting folks who are listening to and have practiced this to like answer yourself, but also for us to like think about, right? Let's think about it. 1, what's like the definition and purpose of like cloud busting? Like what exactly does it demonstrate? 2, how do you become interested in cloud manipulation? How long did it take you to be able to perform cloud? And then for people who are like attempting to start busting up God's cotton candy, what do you need? Do you have to have psychokinesis, or is it just like belief, right? If you're a kid and you were able to do this, does that mean you had psychokinesis, or is it just like kid power? Right. Is it possible for someone like me, who's unaware of psychokinesis ability or like any sort of skill, to like learn how to do this? Because it's a really big stretch of like, anyone can do it too. You have to have that, right? And then would it be impacted if someone was not a fully a believer of cloud busting, right? And then are there risks to cloud manipulation?
Sure. Right.
Mental risks, physical risks, spiritual risks, environmental risks, right? Removing cloud, maybe you're bringing too much sun in that, right? So if you have answers, hit me up. But let's move on to, is it real? Because there's lots of evidence online, right? And we love to see evidence. We are people who grew up on CSI, Law and Order. It's swayed our beliefs of what evidence is. It's fucked up our mind on jury duty, right? It's really one of the things that really fuck up the system the most, because people want to see evidence the most as opposed to like other things. But yeah, we love to see evidence, but what happens when it doesn't work with what we believe to be true?
Right.
Or what we know as an existing truth, but someone is like attempting to present.
It's challenging our beliefs. Yeah.
They're presenting a different truth from you, right? Different facts. Because this is some of the comments, right? From Calendray Agaloy 4 years ago. Fake. Michael Justice 4 years ago. Fake. But damn, I'm impressed how many people actually believe you. And then here's Matt from 2 years ago. Why can you only do it a bit at a time? If you can make it disappear, why not do it all at once? Seems an easy trick to pretend it's you instead of natural explanation. The OP of the video replied with, not everything is to be rushed. When working with energy, you have to have patience. And then someone replied in support with, it's not magic. It's the study of energy, bro. And then the original commenter was like, what energy? What energy is being used for this? How can it be magic? Anyone could film a cloud slowly disappearing and pretend to rub their fingers across it. Laughing, crying, emo. The video is the literal definition of fake claims. How can you possibly claim this is true? When it comes to video evidence provided by folks who post about it on YouTube, you can clearly see that they have video evidence. The evidence is there. They're posting videos of themselves clearing up the chosen cloud. They've changed the shape of the cloud. But why don't we, right?
Yeah.
Perhaps it's the nature of the internet now, right? Just like the AI Loeb episode, we have tons of evidence provided by like this person, right? Of this thing existing, but everyone's like, you made this shit up, right? And there's obviously comments of folks agreeing with it and providing their own experience with cloud bursting, but how come folks still don't believe it? How come the folks who have done it are dismissed as a bunch of woo-woo spiritual people?
Why are we so divided? And can this wound ever be healed?
This is really affecting the cloud busting community. Are we sticking to the why do these people just refuse to understand how clouds work? Or is it that they understand how clouds work? Right? Yeah. Or could it be that just there's already an explanation for moving and disappearing clouds so that we can't even begin to think about alternative facts or explanations for dispersing clouds like this? But what are those explanations? How can people control these clouds? Or why do we believe that they're not controlling these clouds, right? So Ben's already talked about it. But let me bring you back in from the divisive community of cloud busting and cloud busting haters. As you might have noticed by now, one common sort of cloud is used in these methods. From Dr. A to the websites that I've linked, from seeing the clouds chosen in the videos on YouTube.
Yeah.
The cumulus cloud. What is a cumulus cloud, though, right? Ben's sort of touched on this, right? The classic cloud. This is a cloud that can sort of look detached and isolated from other clouds. This can exist at a low level of 100 feet to a few thousand feet above the Earth's surface. They form when the sun heats the ground. Heated air rises, then cools, and then condenses when it goes, right? Even if there's no wind, we could be at a different level than clouds. So when they're disappearing, they're getting pushed by the wind on the level that they are, right? But in general, you may know that clouds just kind of disappear as the wind pushes them around, right? So let's look at some of the instructions and then think of them in a sciencey way. I don't want to say it in the truth fact way.
Right, yeah.
So here's what you're going to do. Go outside on any nice day. You want to pick a day in which there are common cumulus clouds in the sky. You want to pick a day where there are wow, they wrote that twice. I just noticed now. Right? Okay, they say it again and they say, these are the white, puffy, cotton candy type clouds. So now that we've defined what a cumulus cloud is and then connecting it to this instruction, what do you think of that statement when it comes to cloud busting? They're picking a specific kind of cloud, and then you know what that cloud does. Why do you think in terms of cloud busting, they pick that kind of cloud?
I think probably because, in the world of symbols, in the world of energy, you want something that's very recognizable. And so a cumulus cloud, that's the classic cloud. You see that in drawings around the world, everyone can recognize a cumulus cloud because that's what we think of when we think of cloud. And so when we're using our tipped forward amygdalas, then we are using the world of symbols and the world of energy. And so we can connect with the symbol of a cumulus cloud with the reality of a cumulus cloud. And given the pineal gland in the quantum realm, we can bridge the gap, and the donut of our energy reaches out and it captures and reaches into the cloud. And then we can disperse the cloud.
That was perfect.
Was that close? Okay.
That was perfect. Do you practice that? That we need to release the how-to video real quick, right? But forget about it. Now, let's look at the same instruction from the same article, right?
Mm-hmm.
Pick a day when there is no wind.
Yeah.
Wind interferes with this game and makes your job pretty much impossible. After all, if the wind is blowing, how will you know if it's you or just the wind? Right? If we consider that clouds can be at different levels, and that wind can blow at different speeds and directions at different levels, say like at 100 feet, it's blowing from the east at like 25 miles, and then at 200 feet, it's blowing from like northwest at 75, right? Is there ever really a day without wind? Is there ever really a day when a plastic bag can peacefully be on the ground without being swept away by the sky?
Or in the sky?
Yeah, right. Lastly, let's look at this. In the case of cloud busting or cloud bursting, at the very least, you can predict with an uncanny and improbable rate of success which specific clouds in a bank or sky full of clouds will quickly evaporate while all the others surrounding it remain fully intact or grow in size. That is from the instructions, right? If we recall the meteorologist in Denny's Parsons article, Dr. Square, who is a meteorologist, notices that Dr. Alexander chooses cumulus clouds, which already disappear in like 15 to 20 minutes, regardless of cloud bursting. Dr. S concludes that Dr. A has some knowledge of weather phenomenon in clouds and that he isn't necessarily fucking with people, but just knows what to do and might be passing it off as some ability and skill, right? A few Google searches these days can help you figure out how clouds form, which ones dissipate pretty quickly, and how fast the wind is going that day, right? You got the weather app, you got Google, you got Siri, you got Alexa, you got Cortana. I don't know, other ladies out there who are helping AI. You've got Loeb, she's in you. We already know that for the most part, clouds generally don't stick around that long and dependently move across the sky on their own, or even just disappear because the cloud might have just like condensed, right? Clouds can stick around for a while, yes, like Cirrus, for example, right? And due to weather conditions like thunderstorms, or just being higher up away from like the wild wind. And if we consider all of that sort of like meteorological information, and then we apply it to the following instructions from cloud bursting, which the instruction is to do this technique, you will need to first find a cloud. You will need to find a small cumulus cloud, because the bigger the cloud, the more energy and focus and willpower it takes to dissipate. We can now surmise that the cumulus cloud is chosen because, one, it can easily disappear and will disappear regardless. And that allotted time span that folks seem to mention, which is like 5 to 10, 15 minutes, is already just in general how...
Sure. The lifespan of a...
Yeah, the lifespan
small cumulus cloud.
So choosing your clouds wisely can help your cloud bursting seem more effective. So the conclusion of that is cloud bursting seems to pick a specific kind of cloud. And this cloud already has some sort of known like characteristics of what kind it is, how it goes away, and how easy it is to like dissipate. So is cloud bursting real, or are people really knowledgeable about a cloud? Right? And this is not to say, this has been mentioned in his sections, like that we don't do any like weather manipulation ourselves, right? We do have existing methods of controlling the weather, or at least attempting to manipulate it to have an effect that we desire, using like using science, right? There's cloud seeding, for example, right? Yeah. So you're basically attempting to make it rain. You throw some shit through a cloud and it passes through because particles in the cloud are hanging onto it, and it helps the cloud make it rain, right? If you know of cloud seeding within that space, you might think of like the Operation Popeye, which is like during war, they were using cloud seeding in order to like fuck up I forgot where it was, but like fuck up that area so it's harder to get. It's hard.
Sure. Yeah.
Right. So we have the ability to like control the weather, but like not like, anyway, this hurricane in Florida, we made, right? Like Ben said, right? And then we're going to move off the worldly reasons and think of some like psychological or like cognitive reasons why we think cloud bursting might work, right? And think of the following statement from one of the people in the comment section of a YouTube video. They said, if I'm with someone who doesn't believe it, it makes it a lot harder to do, right?
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
Someone said, I feel like this is some kind of level 0 psychic exercise. I want to be able to create clouds, but that's honestly outside of my imagination kind of thing. So if you think of it kind of like in that space, and it's like confirmation bias, like you mentioned, right? What is it? Who needs it? According to our bestie Wikipedia, Confirmation bias is the tendency to search for, interpret, favor, and recall information in a way that confirms or supports one's prior beliefs or values, right? How does this apply to cloud bursting? Consider this. In your 50 attempts of cloud bursting, you have 34 failures, but 16 successes. What are you likely to remember, and which one leaves a bigger impact on you, right? Maybe it's the 16 successes that feel really good when it comes to actually making that cloud disappear. This is then your like sort of ultimate support. Like all the video documentation on YouTube of people making clouds disappear, whereas all of those existing attempts that are completely failing.
Right. Especially when you have like baked into it, they're like, oh, it doesn't always work. You know, there's like going to be times where, you know, your chi is wrong, or like there's so many variables that can go wrong.
Yeah. So like for all the evidence that it happened, you have little anecdotes of like, my vibe wasn't right that day. Like where are the times that you just stood there and thought hard, or said like in one of those videos, my favorite one, just the guy just focuses on a cloud and he just goes, clouded, disappear, clouded, disappear. I'm going to show you that in a bit, right? And like, where are all those attempts, right? And if we think of all the people who attended Dr. Alexander's initial demonstrations, how many people who attended already bought into this ability? And when they were watching the cloud, they're like, oh, it's working. As opposed to like, wait, hold up a second. Let me take a step back for a second. This is just, right? And then someone mentioned, I believe it was like the observer effect, which is like the idea that during experimentation, the existence of someone or a measuring tool being used to measure something impacts the results of the differently than when it wasn't there. So like your like sort of existence or observation of it changes the thing that you're staring at. Not because you're like impacting it, but because you're paying attention. The sort of like in conclusion, this is Dan C. on. Then I began to just watch clouds without trying to invoke any such ability. In fact, I began goofing around and trying to make them go in some cases. And I noticed that many of the clouds that I looked at would disperse anyway, regardless of my intent. It has me wondering whether or not this phenomena is merely an action of clouds dissipating on their own due to wind movements and such, or if it is actually something under it.
Right.
Dan C. How poignant, but also real, right?
Yep.
A while back, I asked my brother and his partner to step outside with me for like 5 minutes to do some cloud bursting. All I asked was that they look at a cloud of their choosing and do their best to make it disappear. Nothing happened. Was it because they did it without instruction? 2 out of 3 of us didn't know how to specifically cloud burst. But according to comments above, you don't really need instructions, right?
Right. It's natural.
Should have just worked. Was it because they didn't believe? Maybe. Was it because we don't have psychic powers charged up? Maybe.
They play video games too.
Yeah.
So
And
got to factor that in.
We were playing video games. Yeah. Maybe. Right. What I do know is that clouds did sort of dissipate, not the way that I hoped it would, but in the way that we all know that clouds dissipate through time. We were out there for like 5 to 7 minutes in the sky. Right? So is it real? For now, I'm just going to say that the clouds are going where the wind takes them. You can take that as a metaphor.
Yeah.
Or literally, right? Whether it be just by our mind's instruction or that's just because how clouds work, we might never fully know. But I'm just seated in the whole like, clouds are going to do it. Clouds are going to do it. Yeah. That was Busting Up God's Cotton Candy. Jilai Bilai Gumi Candy.
Well, that was fascinating. Okay, so I was wondering, does first of all, shout out to the Muhammad family?
Yes.
I love their attention to safety.
Yeah.
And that they're like, don't look at the sun. Stay in the shade.
Yes.
Look out for yourself.
Yeah, that was the
very
one that
important.
I loved the most because a lot of people were wearing like sweaters and hats and sunglasses. And a lot of the other people that I was watching, the Christian from Reality Files guy was out in the middle of like a plane. There's like trees around, but he was like shirtless. And I'm like, you better be wearing some sunscreen.
Yeah. Yeah, you got to look out for yourself, man. You don't want to look like the Liver King out there. Like,
oh, God, no, you don't.
Turn into a big leathery mass. No.
Yeah.
So shout out to y'all. I was wondering if the electric auras did interplay at all with the clouds, if that was like a theory that people had, or if that was just like kind of like an adjacent electromagnetic wave thing.
She was just saying that that's an ability that we have.
Okay.
Right? Like when you just have an energy.
Right.
Like,
so in parallel to cloud bursting, but it doesn't really.
Yeah.
It's not a requirement of it.
Yeah.
Well, I guess it is a requirement because you have to be alive and have your cosmic donut.
You have the vibes, you have to have the ability, but that's just like an offhand mention of like, of course we can do it because we have electromagnetic energy.
Right.
Right. Yeah.
Right. It's like as you know, we have the pineal gland and this is why this happened.
Yeah.
But it's not. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, very, very cool. I didn't know about this phenomenon at all.
Mm-hmm.
I appreciate your commitment to trying it out yourself and to doing it with the good science of, having a control group there and being like, you guys just try to do it. And me, the trained expert, I will do it.
Yeah. And I know that this episode is going to come out several months from now. So I will be doing a TikTok series on trying to legitimately learn how to do it by choosing a method. I don't think I'm going to do anything relating to charging up my chi and my vibes because I'm unable to do that as someone whose vibe is constantly in disarray and panic. So I'm just going to choose one of like the easier ones that are like maybe chanting. I am going to show you the one that I love the most.
Oh, please.
You're viewing it right now.
I'm seeing it. Sure. Okay.
Let me play it and then just make the audio.
By psychokinesis, a psychic turns a cloud into a square cloud.
Square cloud. Okay. You have the audio?
I have audio, yeah.
This is a weather control psychic cloud control by T. Chase. See this cloud? I make videos where I'm able to control clouds by my psychokinesis, psychic. I'm making this recording this September 2010. See this cloud? I'm going to try to turn this cloud into a square-shaped cloud. Make this cloud into a square-shaped cloud. By psychic power, turn it into a square-shaped cloud. Cloud, become a square shape. 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 Cloud. Cloud,
sorry.
Become a square shape. Turn into a square shape cloud. Turn into a square shape cloud. Turn into a square shape cloud. Cloud, become a square shape cloud. Cloud, become a square.
Just for the record, cloud. I'm not seeing a square at all.
Yeah.
Are you?
No.
Turn into a
the clouds have just disappeared.
Cloud.
Yeah, they're like moving in the way the clouds tend to.
Yeah, because if we do it like this is the end of where the cloud is now, right? And then this is how it started.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You could be like, oh my god, the cloud did disappear. It did cloud turn.
And it did turn into a square shape.
Yeah, I was trying to be like, let me get the IPA pronunciation of this. To myself the other day, I was like, square
shape.
And I was like, I did reach out to Revelation13.net to ask if the pronunciation, the sort of like chanting is like specific to, because like this one is like he's turning into a square shape. Like the other ones,
right?
Sometimes he'll just say cloud disappear, cloud disappear.
Yeah.
But this was like square shape.
Square shape. A specific ask from the cloud.
And I was gonna ask if it matters that he was saying it like this.
Yeah.
As opposed to if I was just going out there and go square shape.
Cloud, square shape.
Cloud disappear. Right? So that's like one of the most convincing in terms of like actual shape. Like going away kind of thing. But it's also like, gosh, just do that.
Right. Yeah, the vocal thing is definitely interesting. Yeah. It's like, is that like, are you defamiliarizing yourself with the word as you're doing that? Is that the goal? To be like, I'm reaching some true level of, I would be very interested in like, does the pronunciation and does the messing with the word have a role to play there?
Yeah. And it's just like, I'm going to follow up like one more time. I swear I need to know. Like it was like the most interesting video for this.
Also, you were saying that like people can talk to clouds. So is that just how clouds talk? And it's like he's code switching into cloud lingo.
Do clouds speak the language of the locations that there are? They don't have like, clouds have never been like Tower of Babel, right? They understand us all.
Yeah. And they can communicate back with us all.
Yeah. Are they like, do clouds have an accent? Is this the cloud accent?
Yeah. Can we do the cloud accent, or is it offensive?
Right. Is this guy like, he cloud people?
Is he cloud facing?
Yeah. Like what, like, I need to know like what it means for him to be like, say cloud. Is that the correct pronunciation of cloud?
Yeah.
Cloud?
That's their word. That's how they say it.
So yeah, I just think it's respond to me.
Please, we need more. We need answers.
To know. It was the most interesting one. It was so. Oh my god! I
hope he gets back to us, please. I hope he gets back to you, please.
I literally in the email was like, please, I don't intend to make fun of this. I'm so fucking interested in why you're saying Cleo disappear. Not even in a funny way, but like, please tell me.
And we're not bullies. We're here to learn. We're here to learn about all the magic in the world, all the forbidden knowledge that they don't want us to know.
Yeah, because I'm not out here like, fuck these people who live clouds. Clouds just do this. What if, like, you are true?
What if you are? And what if cloud bursting people are behind climate change because they won't stop fucking with the clouds?
You ever think about this? These videos have a couple of thousands of views. Stop messing with these clouds.
Yeah, these people. Yeah, I saw that he had like 11,000 subscribers, but those are big numbers. That's not a bad following. Like if there's 11,000 people out there that are messing with the clouds on a regular basis, and that's just a drop in the pond, right? Beyond that, there's more people and more cloud bursters out there.
And clearly there is some intent of someone saying, literally, once enough of us get the hang of it, we can control ideal. Like, I'm thinking, if I were really to like get into this, buy into this, what if some of you have negative intentions? Like, yes, some of you do want to get rid of chemtrails and all this stuff that has been like geoengineering us, but what if some of you do want to do,
Right. Is this too much power to trust in just random, in everybody's hands? Is that why it was forbidden knowledge for so long? And why Dr. A was persecuted for this practice is because it's too powerful. And if we just let it, what if it gets into the wrong hands?
Yeah. Not everyone should be cloud busting, right?
Cloud bust responsibly, people, please.
Cloud bust responsibly. Pick really, like, sincerely. If you are able to do this, just pick a tiny cloud. Oh my God. Stick with cumulus clouds.
Stay small. We don't need to don't go big.
Yeah, don't.
I mean,
Go.
Yeah.
It's like, you're like, oh yeah, go big or go home. Like, just go home, please. Leave these clouds.
Yeah, we have enough issues going on. Yeah. We don't need more storms caused by you cloud bursting.
Right? And put on some sunscreen, please. Like, I will say this, especially people of color, right? You might think you're getting, some of us, even we have melanin, right? I'm on the lighter side of the melanin spectrum, but still gotta wear sunscreen. Cancer is real. One of those things we take away from the Muhammad family. Get into some shade if you're doing this. Put on some sunscreen. Do not look into the sun. Oh my freaking God.
Yeah, nobody can look into the sun. That's a baseline.
This is not forbidden knowledge because, like, if you look at the sun, you'll see some like etchings in the sun. Like, no, you're just gonna fuck up.
You'll damage your retina.
Yeah, don't do it. Like, get some of the solar eclipse classes. I don't know when solar eclipse happens, right? Just don't. Okay, practice.
It's a good hobby to have, honestly. Like cloud bursting, I'm on board for it.
I do think,
like, go outside, look at the sky.
Yeah, I do think it has like sort of like, maybe it's not like the meditation to intend to disappear cloud, but sometimes you just literally, when we're just out there for like 5 to 7 minutes, it's just like staring at the sky. You're just not doing it.
Yeah, there's something to it in terms of like you're basically doing like a mindfulness practice, right? You're like focusing on something that's like there and focusing on the real world and what's in front of you. It's nice.
Yeah, and if it results in like some cloud manipulation, neat. Yeah. But maybe this is time to like center yourself. Maybe you take it from Christian to get the vibes right, get your chi charged up, because you want to have like a positive like moment with the sun and thing. With sunscreen on.
Right. But again, be safe, take care of your skin, take care of your eyes, and don't go too big on the cloud.
Oh my God. Like, if you're trying to practice some like sort of kinetic energy, kinetic sand, if you're trying to practice with some kinetic sand, if it comes with like some sort of like harm, reel back on it. Just focus on the tiny clouds, right? Just do tiny demonstrations for your friends if you guys are happy.
Start small and stay small.
Start small.
Yeah.
Right.
That's good.
And I do want to ask like one final thing for you.
Please.
Do you remember Floam?
Oh, I remember Floam, yeah.
That was, I specifically wrote that down and meant to ask it, but I completely forgot. That's Floam.
Yeah, Floam. I never had Floam. Did you have Floam?
I did not. But perhaps this is an alternative for people who do want an interactive foam that's on the ground. This is earthly Floam.
It is earthly Floam. It's the forbidden Floam.
Just stick with the Floam, okay? You can DIY it. there's like...
Didn't people die from eating Floam? Is that not, or is that Orbeez?
Please don't eat Floam, slime.
Don't eat Floam.
Orbeez,
Don't
nothing.
eat any, no foam. No, just...
Bro.
Yeah, the forbidden cotton candy is forbidden for a reason.
God's cotton candy is up in the sky. Do not try to eat it. Okay, maybe...
You can't eat... Yeah.
Maybe there's
You can go for God's cotton candy. If there's a cloud that you're walking through, if you're walking through some fog, you can open your mouth.
I don't know
No?
if you want to open your mouth.
We're not condoning that?
I don't want to condone.
You don't want to open your mouth into like SF Bay fog?
That's what I was thinking. Like, do you want some of that stink? I love my San Francisco. I love it. I love her so much. Don't open your mouth. Put on a mask.
Keep the mouth closed.
Right? Not just for like safety, but because you want to get away from that kind of like stench of the water. It's bad for your skin too. That sea air.
Is it? Sea air is bad for your skin?
If you got eczema, stay away from that shit. If you got some sensitive skin, don't do it, bro.
Yeah.
If you have
if you get the consumption though.
If you have the consumption, that's good.
That's good. Yeah.
I'm going to Santa Cruz next weekend. I'm a very sickly person, and my friend said maybe the sea air will do something for me, like I'm a tuberculosis fucking patient. Yeah. My God, Jesus Christ! But yeah, everybody practice safety. Practice good stuff for yourself. Get you some sunscreen. If you're someone with eczema, looking for sponsorship, just in general, but CeraVe healing ointment.
Oh, I love CeraVe.
And maybe even UCC coffee.
Yeah, and Waterloo.
Zyrtec, please.
My favorite sparkling water.
Our favorite.
They're real fucking bubbly. It's really like punch you in the mouth bubbles.
Okay.
Which I'm here for.
We're looking for sponsorships. But yeah.
Yes.
that is our Airheads episode.
That's it. That's us. We're dum-dums. Let's remember that. Okay.
Okay.
This episode was written and produced by Ben and JD. For all our sources, please head to the website in the description below. If you'd like to reach out with a comment, suggestion, or share an experience with busting clouds or eating the forbidden foam, send us a message at icecreamumeme@gmail.com. All of the music for the podcast is provided by Yaga Frank. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll catch you on the next episode.